Representative of Pakistan to the United Nations and 76th President of the UN Economic and Social Council, followed by Her Excellency Ms. Valentine Rubaviza, Permanent Representative of Rwanda to the United Nations. Thank you. Welcome all. Ambassador Akram, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to speak at this event, which is organized by the IPI. And I would like to take this occasion to welcome the new head of IPI, my friend, Ambassador Princess. We are living through the greatest global crisis in 100 years. 3 million people have died, hundreds of millions infected by the virus. Most economies are in deep recession. 200 million jobs have been lost, and a decade of human development has been reversed. It is obvious that technology and innovation is a critical factor in both the present crisis we are facing, as well as a key to building back better from this crisis. But as has been revealed so vividly, there is accelerated inequality which has marked both the response to the pandemic and the prospects of recovery. The financial outlays that have been deployed for recovery are hugely unequal. $17 trillion in fiscal stimulus by the richer countries, and less than 100 billion that have been deployed so far to support developing countries. The advent of digital technologies has been instrumental in maintaining economic activity, human connection, human exchanges, and will play a large part in the prospect of building back better. But here too, in the digital space, the inequality between the richer countries and the poorer is astronomical. 83% of people in the richer countries are connected. They are online. They have been able to communicate, to conduct business, to have access to education, and the ability to live through life in the midst of this pandemic. In the developing countries, in the poorest countries, only 19% are connected. The rest of the developing world lives in virtual darkness, so to speak. And therefore, digitalization and bridging this digital divide, it will be critical in bringing them back into a global economy, which is increasingly powered by the force of digitalization. Without connectivity, the prospects of developing countries being able to compete economically in trade and production will be quite dismal, as will be the prospects of their people having access to knowledge, to education, and all the connections that are required in order to participate in an increasingly interdependent and connected world. I think the realities are well known, and the positive and negative aspects of digitalization are also quite visible to all of us. We need a coherent and strategic response to the digital space. A coherent response in the sense of prioritizing, first and foremost, the objective of bridging the digital divide, which will require huge investments in digital infrastructure, in cables, in data centers, in platforms, in service providers located across the world, especially in the developing countries. The examples of developing countries having entered the digital space and successfully operating in that space are also there. There are the Singapores of the world, even in China, huge acceleration has taken place in coping and entering into the digital space. The rest of the developing countries need to catch up, and there is huge demand and huge opportunities for investment in this space. The policies that we need to evolve will not happen through interaction only among member states. The 70% of the ownership of digital technologies is held by a handful of private companies. And these private companies are largely located in only 2 countries. And therefore, we need to involve all of them. They can, and it is feasible to involve all of them in a multi-stakeholder approach to promoting the digitalization of the global economy. Of course, in our response, we must take into account the dark side of the web, as the Secretary General has called it the 4th horse of the apocalypse. And that too is visible to all of us. The threats of cyber security, cyber crime, terrorism, hate speech, ingress into privacy, the ownership of data, all of these are issues that need to be addressed in evolving policy and governance in this digital space. So the proposal from the IPR with regard to a human-centric approach to digitalization is timely, both in terms of expanding the positive spaces in digital technologies, as well as in addressing its negative aspects. One other issue that needs to be taken into account is that technology and digitalization is also now at the center of global tensions between the great powers. While we seek to bridge the North-South digital divide, it is also important to prevent an East-West division of the world into competing digital worlds. And the task, therefore, that is before us in addressing the digitalization challenge is huge in scope and its impact. And it is important that we bring together all these efforts into one coherent space. I welcome the work of the Internet Governance Forum and the establishment of the open-ended working group. And I hope that your deliberations will add an important aspect of aligning the digitalization of the world with the sustainable development goals. I wish you all success. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ambassador.